We are all looking to save time and money in the kitchen. I have got 10 of the best pantry mixes to help you do just that. My name is Amanda and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I focus on budget meals, frugal living, and urban homesteading. If that's something you enjoy, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Pantry mixes are a great way to be saving some time in the kitchen if you're just looking for a quick way to make pancakes, muffins, brownies, or even gravy. These are easy to throw together in a pinch. I love pantry mixes because they are just so easy, and they're great when I am having a really busy day and just looking for something quick to put together. So today I'm going to show you 10 of my favorite pantry mixes. So first, you're going to start getting all of your items that you want to work with out and on the counter. I'm using mason jars to put all of my things in. You can also use leftover glass jars from tomato sauce from the store or jam from the store or things like that if you happen to collect jars. I know I do, but I'm also a canner and these are what are available to me at the moment. So I start off making sure I've got all my jars out and all of my ingredients, so I'm not going and searching while I'm trying to do this. So my kids love hot cocoa, but making it from scratch can be time consuming each time you do it, and buying it from the store is completely overpriced. You can make a delicious hot cocoa in a pantry mix and have it easily on hand for every time that your kids want some hot cocoa, or if you want some hot cocoa. And it only takes minutes to prepare. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by mixing all of my ingredients in a bowl, and then I'm gonna get them in my jars. I am starting off with 2 cups of unsweetened cocoa powder. Then I'm moving on to 2 cups of powdered sugar. So there's 1 cup. 2 cups. And then I need 2 cups of dried milk powder. Then we're just going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we're just going to mix it all together so that it's completely combined. I like to make sure that I mix these well before I get them in my jars, just so that I know that they're well mixed, and that way if I need to use a couple of jars instead of just one, I know that I can split it up. There we go. So that looks pretty well mixed up. I'm just going to go ahead and start getting this into my jar. So I'm using a wide mouth canning jar, and I'm just going to use my canning funnel because that'll just help get everything in there without making a mess. All right. So I'm just going to slowly push all of this in here. I feel like I'm more than likely going to have to use a couple of different mason jars, and that's okay. It means that it makes a decent amount of hot chocolate. All right, so that made 2 full quarts of hot chocolate. And now I am prepared for when my kids are asking for one of those hot chocolates. Make sure you label every one of your jars. Now you can either put a little post-it with the recipe on your jars, or you can also keep them in a book so you always have the recipes on hand, because you're going to want to know if a recipe has wet ingredients to add to it, how much to add, and what to cook at. So I highly recommend having a book, but you can also just, like I said, keep a note with your jar at all times as well. So Thanksgiving and fall are going to creep up on us before we know it. And I love making pumpkin pie. And instead of buying pumpkin pie spice from the store, I'm just going to make my own. So while I'm making pie, it's easy just to grab a couple teaspoons of that instead of trying to mix all of the spices together at that time. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to mix it right in this jar. I don't think I need to mix this one in a bowl. I'm going to start off with 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, normally I like to make sure that I get the Ceylon cinnamon, but this was all I could find. I think that was 3, 4. Okay. 1 extra. If I happen to miscount there, is not going to be the end of the world. Okay, now we have 2 teaspoons of nutmeg. So 1, 2. And you're going to want to make sure that that is ground nutmeg. All right, 2 teaspoons of ginger. And 1 teaspoon of cloves. This is so nice to have on hand because anything pre-made from the store is going to be double the price of what you are making at home. So if you have the time to spend making some of this stuff at home, it is so worthwhile and saves you a lot in the long run. Okay. So that is our pumpkin spice, and that smells really good right now. So I'm just going to go ahead, give it a good shake, and that helps to mix it all up. So I actually might double that so that I can fill this jar a bit more. All right, so I just doubled that, and I know that I will be going through all of that this fall. And once again, make sure that you are labeling your jars, because you think you're going to remember now, but I promise you, you won't. So I don't know about you, but I love a good cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup. Cream of mushroom soup was actually one of my comfort foods as a child. I absolutely loved it. However, being an adult, I now know that those cream of mushroom soups and cream of whatever soups are really not that great for you. So I like to have a ready-to-go jar of cream of soup so I can add it to whatever ingredients I have and make my own cream of mushroom soup or make my own cream of chicken soup. And I know that the ingredients are far superior, and in the long run, it saves money. So once again, I am doing this in a bowl just to ensure that I'm mixing it properly. I am starting off with 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch, 2 cups powdered milk, 2 tablespoons dried onion, 1 teaspoon thyme, a 1/2 teaspoon salt, and then we're just going to mix to combine. There we go. That's looking well mixed now. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it into my jar. All right, there's another one for the pantry. So my kids went on a field trip to a corn mill once, and they brought home some corn flour. So I'm going to put together a cornbread pantry mix. So today I'm just going to work with the corn flour that I have, but if you have more corn flour, you can do more. You can double this recipe. So I'm adding in 1 cup of corn flour, 1 cup of flour, 1/4 cup sugar, 2 tablespoons baking powder, and a half a teaspoon salt. And then you're going to go ahead and mix this all together. There we go. Now that that's together, I'm going to go ahead and get it in a jar. There we go. And once again, remembering to label. So now that I'm going through this, I'm starting to run out of my baking powder. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make your own baking powder if you happen to run out. And once again, this saves money because if you're looking for the non-aluminum baking powder, it's actually quite expensive, but this is really easy to make. I'll show you how. Okay, so I'm just keeping this in a small pint jar. I'm going to add my funnel, 4 tablespoons of baking soda. Four tablespoons of cornstarch. And 8 tablespoons of cream of tartar. There we go. Give it a really good shake. And now you have your very own aluminum-free baking powder at 1/4 of the price. Now, not long ago, I posted a video on TikTok about homemade deodorant and I used baking soda. And an absolute war broke out between people who didn't know whether baking soda was good for them or not. Some were absolutely, baking soda is very good for you. Other people really thought that the baking soda was going to kill them. I personally use baking soda in deodorant. For toothpaste, in my baking, I use it a lot. And I've heard good things, but what do you guys think? Do you guys think baking soda is good for you? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you are looking to put together a fast meal of chicken and gravy or sausage and gravy, but you don't want to have to go through doing the whole gravy mixture, it is so nice to have on hand an instant gravy mix. So I'm going to show you how I do mine. So I am grabbing 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of sage. Now I'm just using some sage that I had grown and dried last year. So I'm just going to go ahead and crumble this up into small pieces. This sage is so delicious smelling. I absolutely adore the smell. There we go. So we're just going to go ahead, get that mixed up. It already smells like turkey dinner in here to me. That sage and thyme together is so scrumptious. All right, grab yourself a jar. We're just going to go ahead and dump that in. So if you make your own cakes, cupcakes, cinnamon buns, or anything that needs icing, you're going to need icing sugar. Not everybody knows that you can actually make your own, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So making your own icing sugar is actually very easy. We are going to take 2 cups of white sugar. This is granulated sugar. And 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. And we're just going to blend this up until it's nice and smooth and icing sugar consistency. Okay, so it's actually a little dusty in there now, but it has all come down to a nice powdery texture. So that's the texture that you're going to want for your icing sugar. This is so great to have and just know how to do in case you're in the middle of a baking project and all of a sudden you notice that you don't have any icing sugar or powdered sugar. So this way you know how to make it quickly. And there you go. There's your icing sugar. I know baking can take up so much time, so having at least half of the steps looked after before you even start is so helpful. So my next recipe is a biscuit mix. I love having biscuits with dinner, especially with a soup in the winter, so just being able to quickly throw together some biscuits is so helpful. We are starting off with 4 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, we're adding 2 tablespoons of baking powder. One teaspoon salt. And 1 tablespoon sugar. Then we're just going to mix that up and get it fully combined. And that way we don't have to make all of these at once. We can split this recipe if we need to. Okay, time to fill our jar. There we go. All right, moving on to our next recipe, I'm going to start a pancake mix recipe. And this one starts off with 3 cups of flour. Now, if you're doing this for a bigger family, you may want to double this recipe. 1/4 cup of sugar. And I'm actually going to hop right into the one we've already made because I just ran out of my packaged one. 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. 1 tablespoon of baking soda. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So that was 1/8 cup of sugar, not 1/4 cup of sugar. But if you're doubling it, then it would be 1/4 cup of sugar. But today I am not doubling, so it's just 1/8 cup for this one. There we go. And that is our pancake mix done. These are so simple and so easy to make, and it saves you a lot of time and money in the kitchen. All right, so that got me 1 quart and about 1/2 pint of this pancake mix. Like I said, if you have a bigger family or you want to prepare more, you can either double or triple that recipe. Moving on to my last one, it is one of the best and one of the most delicious and one that your kids are going to love, and it is a brownie recipe. Okay, so we are starting off with 1 1/4 cup of flour. This is all-purpose flour. We are going to pop in 1 cup of unsweetened cocoa. We are doing 2 cups of sugar, because what are brownies without sugar? We are doing 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. All right. Then we just mix this up until it is all properly combined. All right, so there are all of our instant pantry mixes. That hardly took any time at all, and we got a lot done. All right, so that is all that we are doing today. If you're looking for more ways to save money in the kitchen, I am going to attach my playlist for the budget meals here. Make sure you check that out because I have a lot of ideas there. Thanks for joining me today, guys, and I'll see you all next time.